Hi, it's Tom here from FDS, and we are back with another quick Krinkov update. I'm sorry this has taken a bit of time to get to you, but they've been working on my house this month, and that's taken up a lot of my spare time facilitating that. Now, as you can see, there is some more work here around the fore end, and I've tidied all this area up now. I've also cut back this area in a kind of tack mod style, just to make this front area a little bit more intuitive and to make more space for my hand grip on here. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to quickly run through some filler stuff with you guys. So I'll just roll through what I've used on here. Started with some milliput, which is really good for supporting joints, and this is the hard stuff. This is really hard to sand, so this isn't really a filler, it's more of a traditional epoxy putty. I recommend using this wherever you've got a really fragile joint. I've used it in here in a couple of places on the front end where I'd already bonded it with Devcon, and I just wanted to add a little bit more support behind for the joint. It's not really an adhesive, so if you're planning on gluing things together, bond them with Devcon and then back them with the milliput. Next up, we have just a standard auto filler, and again that's a two-part with a hardener, and that's just a polyester resin. Those are really good. You can see all this white area is done in traditional Bondo, and you can apply those with the spreader that you get with it, and you're always applying with a fairly flat angle to the spreader, and then afterwards you can do a little bit of shaping. I've been putting in this dividing line back in, and this will provide you with a really good basis for paint, and it sands really nice. With the milliput, if you are using, if you want just small quantities and you want to just buy one putty, they do a super fine, which is grey, and the super fine is much more like the car body filler, and it's really easy to sand, and that's a very good cosmetic filler if you don't want to buy a big tub of this. And then do get the milliput super fine. They didn't have it at my local stockists, and I used the black just because it was good for gap filling. You can see here that the car body filler, and if we turn it over, I've sanded this area with the machine sander. I've used a DA, which is a dual action sander that spins and it oscillates. It's what they use in the auto body industry. I just happen to have one in the shed. And you can see that it does leave some marking in the plastic shell when you use a DA. I did use a fairly coarse DA, and that will all have to be taken back out. It's one of the things I don't like about machine sanding for Nerf. And if you put too much heat in, you'll actually melt your ABS, and it produces these coarse corners on the ABS where you've melted it. And there's a little bit of that going on up here where I sanded a little bit too close. So last but not least, you can see all this green on here, and we come to this stuff, which is Squadron Putty. This is made by MMD. There are other versions of this putty. Liquid green stuff, if you live near a Games Workshop, is similar sort of stuff. You can also get stopping compounds, which are used in the body shop industry, and fine surface fillers, again from auto parts supplies. Most of those are fairly similar. I like this stuff because it sands really nice, it dries really fast, because it's just a 1K toluene based putty. Be careful, it does have a lot of vapours, and if you don't like the smell of toluene, or you have animals or anything that's sensitive to organic fumes, please do use it in a well ventilated space. And you can see here this green, and I use it as a stopper, so it's not a structural filler or a large gap filler. Just use it for those surface imperfections. Then what you can do is you can now guide coat this. Once you've sanded it back, I always guide coat if I've got a lot of filler, and this is a very light skim, but it's quite a big surface area. So to find all the little imperfections, just a light coat of cheap matte black, and then sand with a block over the whole surface, and any low areas will stay black, and any high areas will come back white, or whatever colour your filler was. So that's a really neat trick if you want to get your finish super smooth, and you want that really factory flatness, and you don't want the rippliness that I see in so many builds on the internet, which is one of the problems about using this type of harder epoxy putty, is actually it's very hard to sand that smooth. And even if you're using a variety of sanding sticks, and you're using even circular sticks wrapped, and a number of different tricks that you can use to get even pressure, this stuff, traditional epoxy putties, really don't sand that great. So there you have my filler recommendations, and now we'll just quickly look at where we're going with this over the next couple of weeks. The pick titty positions have been finalised last time, and I've just been skimming out the little indicator things in the back there where there's normally two holes. I've never seen anybody fill those that I could find, and you can see this area is all now looking pretty tidy. There you go. I still have to make this battery compartment door here, which is going to be annoying, but that's really it now in terms of cosmetics. I'm pretty much there. I've got a little piece to put in here in the magwell at the front, and I've left room in here hopefully still for my trademark removable motor block. And you can see I haven't attached the cover yet. I've got my new FDS motor cover to go on there, and then at the back I've just done a little bit more work on the filler around here just to get it really smooth. And then when I'm finished this, I'm hoping to finish this in the next 10 days. and I'll sand it all back, and then it will be going into the shop for primer, and I might do a quick paint review for you just to show you through my paint process if the weather's nice, because I can't do it indoors. I'm still not entirely happy with it, I have to say. I have to fill these in, I think, these slots, and I have been slightly disappointed by the thickness of this front end. I feel if I was doing it again, I would have taken my visual cue from this line here and actually cut this much further down so that this would have been much smaller, and I think I would want to make a custom battery tray for the front, which is something I might investigate in future, which could then be available as a 3D printed part, as maybe a super slim tray, so that it just allows you room to put a 2S pack in there or a long 3S pack into the front. So you'd lose a lot of this, and then you'd have a really cool tack mod style front end that would just be drop in, which I think might be a good solution for the future.